Welcome to your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Wednesday, May 26th. Our top story, a 2-week reprieve for Barbadian students and their counterparts around the region as the Caribbean Examination Council today announced that upcoming exams would be delayed. CXC Registrar Dr. Wayne Wesley told a regional press conference that the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, the Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination, and the Caribbean Certificate of Secondary Level Competence Exam, all scheduled to commence on June 15, will now be held on Thursday, June 28.
To maintain the administration of all papers, CXC will administer the Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination, CAPE, the Caribbean Secondary Examination Certificate, CSEC, and the Caribbean Certificate of Secondary Level Competence, CCSLC, examinations in their original format. That is, for CAPE and CSEC, papers 1, 2, and 3-1 school-based assessment, or paper 3-2 for private candidates, and for CCSLC, papers 1 and 2.
All papers.
Secondly, Council approved the delay of the sitting of the regional examinations by a further 2 weeks. This will provide candidates with extra time to prepare for the examinations. Therefore, examinations will commence on Thursday, the 28th of June, 2021, with release of results the last week in September to the first week in October, as previously communicated. Thirdly, the option to defer. The deadline for candidates to register their intent to defer has been further extended to the 31st of May 2021. So candidates will have up until the end of May to indicate their intent to defer their examinations.
CXC Chairman Professor Sir Hilary Beckles said the decision is supported by the majority of governments and education ministers across the region, the Caribbean Union of Teachers and Students. He noted that the decision was taken on the heels of a recent special meeting hosted by the Council for Human and Social Development.
We listened very carefully to the arguments, and we were persuaded by the arguments coming from the Caribbean Union of Teachers. I wish to really thank our ministers. I wish to thank, again, Minister Bradshaw for making arrangements for us to hear directly from a group of students, and also to see the statistics on students' own opinion and concern. And we were able to garner from the Barbados government the statistical data on students' opinion that factored into our conversation. Then, of course, is the volcanic situation in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And then there's a state of emergency in Trinidad in respect to the COVID management. And all of this, including the impact of the volcanic ash on the Barbados environment. So these were the early, clear, and pressing issues that really made it clear to us that there had to be an adjustment in the time frame. Some countries wanted a little more than 2 weeks. Some wanted 3 weeks. Some wanted 5 weeks. So there was this diversity based on the specifics of each country's position. But we all realized that practicality was necessary.
The announcement, however, did not sit well with spokesperson for the concerned group of parents of Barbados. Paula Ann Moore tells Barbados Today the pleas and cries of students and parents have fallen on deaf ears.
We cannot help but be deeply disappointed, but not surprised, that CXC has continued its utter tone deafness and rejection of the mental and emotional distress of the children, and has continued business as usual with respect to the 2021 exit assessments. The mere 2-week delay means less than nothing to the hundreds of thousands of students, and it will further put children not only at mental risk, but potentially greater infection with respect to COVID-19. Insisting on these in-person exams in direct contradiction to what has obtained worldwide. UNICEF has begged, parents have begged, teachers and students have begged, and our pleading has fallen on deaf ears.
At the same time, President of the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union, Mary Redmond, suggests that CXC's insistence on not adjusting the format of this year's exams was self-serving. In a statement, she said CXC's so-called concessions are designed to cause the examining body the least possible disruption and/or inconvenience, regardless of the impact on the students of the region. She said the fact that CXC has not sought in any way to modify or remove Paper 1, which covers the whole syllabus, despite the union's repeated call, is hypocritical. She maintains the practical and fair approach should have been to introduce choices or options in Paper 2, as the union repeatedly recommended. In other news, employees of the National Union of Public Workers walked off the job this morning after not receiving their pay in a timely fashion. Acting General Secretary Will Walron told reporters the delay resulting from the president's failure to sign the checks. The matter was, however, later resolved and the workers received their pay. President Akani McDowell says it was a matter of miscommunication and charged that it was nothing more than a political ploy by his rivals ahead of the union's upcoming elections.
And as president, I would have implemented a policy that wages and salaries should be prepared a week in advance for those who are weekly and a month for those who are monthly, so that checks are always pre-signed. Actually, I was on my way to sign the checks when the General Secretary called, as is customary, on Wednesday. Staff are hardworking and qualified and appreciated. Unfortunately, the miscommunication is being used by my opponents to disadvantage the very employees they claim they want to represent. This is not my first election. Certainly, this is not my style. And I will continue to agitate for the workers of the NUPW.
Walron, however, suggested that late payment should not be allowed to happen again, and he dismissed suggestions that the workers' action was an embarrassment for the union.
It shows that the trade union and the employees have got issues. They are not peculiar, they are not above board, they've got issues with staffing and grievances, and obviously any other institution, people pay days are sacred, and if there's a delay for one reason or the other, it can happen. But I think so they will react like just any other worker. So it just shows, I don't think it's necessarily an embarrassment, but to show NUPW as an organization that employ persons will have the same issues from time to time also like any other organization out there.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news in Trinidad and Tobago, government today cautioned non-essential businesses to stop trying to get around public health regulations, warning there could be consequences. Sunil Lala of TDT News reports.
Energy Minister Stuart Young says government is aware that many non-essential businesses have been attempting to get around and also break the regulations, and believes this continued movement of people may lengthen the time to get back to a phased reopening, since the main goal at this time is to get infections to a minimum.
They think they're trying to beat the regulations in back rooms, carrying out e-commerce, trying to do deliveries or asking persons to pick up. By definition, that increases the movement, and it can be contributing to why we're not seeing the numbers go down as quickly as we would like.
Trade and Industry Minister Paula Gopi-Skoon says she understands restaurants have been doing what they can to keep workers employed, but says even pre-packaging food to sell in supermarkets could have negative effects.
Number one, you're bringing out your employees when this is against the regulations. That's one wrong. And the second wrong is now you're taking that into supermarkets and you're adding another train of traffic.
Mr. Young notes even furniture and appliance stores have been offering online and delivery services, which should not be done during this time. He says the e-commerce aspect as well as curbside pickup would be considered when there's a phased reopening. The ministers met with members of the business community on Wednesday, including several chambers, the manufacturing and contracting sector, DOMA, as well as the Supermarkets Association.
On the international scene, a California transit employee killed 8 co-workers and wounded another before taking his own life on Wednesday in the latest of a spate of deadly mass U.S. shootings.
About 6:34 a.m. this morning, Santa Clara County Communications Center received multiple 911 calls, a shots fired call, multiple shots fired calls in the area of 101 West Younger Avenue in the city of San Jose. This building is a VTA control center, a Valley Transportation Authority control center. It is a hub that stores multiple VTA trains and maintenance yard as well. Multiple deputies, including surrounding law enforcement agencies, arrived to the scene for an active shooter investigation. The information I can tell you right now is very preliminary. I can confirm with you right now that we do have multiple victims and we have multiple casualties at this point. The suspect is confirmed deceased. I will not go into details as what the cause of death is at this point, but the suspect is deceased at this point, so the public safety is safe at this point.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.